In Durga Sukta, the next mantra we have to take up is the 6th mantra. Pratnoshi kamidya adhareshu sanatcha hota navyascha satsi swancha agne tanuvam piprayasvasmabhyancha Saubhagamaya Jasva. This again is a prayer for Agni. Actually, Durga Sukta, other than one mantra, all of them are addressed to Agni only. Because Durga is Agni, and because he is fiery also. So, what do you do with Agni? What is the importance of Agni? Importance of Agni is its energy. So it is primordial energy. It is by means of energy only all beings are sustained. So take away the energy from the creation, there will be nothing will be remaining. And therefore all of us are in pursuit of having good energy. We want to have strong body, we want to have a sharp mind, and then we want to remain comfortable in the environment. So Agni must make sure that water doesn't freeze over or the air doesn't freeze over. So Agni's presence is extraordinarily important in the creation, both at the macrocosmic level and at the microcosmic level. And not only that, Agni is the one which gives us form. Because how do we get form? From Agni only. And the form in which we exist, we have to exist comfortably. And what is the purpose of form? Purpose of form is to discover the absolute ultimate happiness, ultimate ananda. That is the purpose of our life. To find that incorruptible bliss. For that sake we have been given this form. And therefore, who worships Agni? As a matter of fact, universally, everybody worships Agni. Only the way in which, the form in which, the method in which, the verbal or vocalization with which they worship Agni may differ, but everybody is worshipping Agni one. And hence, when does Agni become favorable to us? When it is used in peaceful ways, and in a contained manner, so that it doesn't hurt anybody. Because Agni can also burn. Suppose somebody commits arson, then everything will get burned down. And therefore, the mantra is saying, only those who are worshipping Agni in an act which is free from violence, they are the ones who are really worshipping Agni. So, in Sanskrit, violence, the term for violence is dvaram.
Oh, that's dvaram.
So, when you prefix it with what happens is, it is advara. So, advara in Sanskrit means an act which is free from violence. And ritualistically, the word advara is yajna. Is the actual oblations offered in a contained sacred fire is also called advara. But the real meaning of advara is an act which is free from violence. So all acts which bring out the energy, and especially the act of sacrificial worship in the sacred fire, which brings out the divine energy. Because we also need the cosmic divine energy to come out, and therefore we do the yajna in this advara. Whom are we worshipping? We are worshipping you, O Agni, and therefore the phrase advareshu idyaha. So if you actually break this sentence into words, pratnoshi kam idyaha advareshu sanat cha hota navyaha cha satsi swam cha Agne Tanuvam Viprayasva Asmabhyam Cha Saubhagam Ayadasva. So that is how we actually break the sentence into words. And now you take the combination of words. Advareshu idyaha. That idyaha means worshipped, extolled, praised. So he who is worshipped, praised or extolled, the word is idyaha. It also, somewhere we also use the word ile. For example, in the Vedadi Sukta, we say Agnim ile, Agnim ile. Agnim ile, because of the chandas there, it is a Gayatri chandas, it is used as Agnim ile. Agnim idye means the same. So Advaram, Advareshu idyaha. Idyaha means one who is worshipped, one who is extolled. In the acts which are free from violence, and this yajna we praise. We praise this energy. So what do you mean by praying? What do you mean by worship? So it is not just a religious, ritualistic worship where you say, oh, you are the deity, I am the devotee, and therefore you please bless me. It is not just that. Whenever you do a worship, the idea is to become what you are worshipping. Then the ritual gets exalted to a meditative dhyana or a meditative focus. So you are having Agni as the one who is worthy, who is worshipful, and being worshipped. The purpose is, I want to become like you. And therefore, I am having you as my role model. So that's why the word idye is used. Because many other things are there, prarthaye, prarthayamahe, so many other things could have been used. Idye means, I want to become like you. So you are my role model, and therefore praising means anusandhana. Anusandhana in Sanskrit means actually trying to contemplatively become the ideal that you are worshipping. And then, so whenever we contemplate on any entity whatsoever, whether it is money or pleasure or happiness or company, or what are we asking for? We are asking for that which we are desiring to become ours. So what are we desiring here? Advara. We are desiring an attitude of absolute non-violence. And that attitude of non-violence is what I am praying for you. Let me internalize that quality. And therefore, when I internalize that quantity, that entity, then what happens? The power you have to become worshipful, my activities also will be a worshipping activity. Don't misunderstand worshipful activity. It's a worshipping activity. So your worshipfulness and my worshipping are matched. When that matching happens, it is advareshu idyaha, and therefore, what is that I am worshipping you for? Not just for the energy, not just for being free from violence. Freeing myself from violence is a prerequisite for getting the bliss, ultimate bliss. Because you will be blissful, you will be peaceful only when there is no violence anywhere. Neither you commit violence to others, or nor others commit violence towards you. When do you make sure that nobody can hurt you? When you don't hurt anybody. It's only when we are not hurting anybody, others also will not hurt us. They may try to do it in the beginning, they may try to bend you and all that, but then what happens? You become such a sthanu rudram. You become sthanu means immovable, incorruptible. They cannot move you. And therefore, when you practice advara, then you have the prerequisite to get what? Come. Come means absolute bliss. The word come is used as absolute bliss. And who gives this bliss? you give the bliss. And how do you give this bliss? By expansion. The more and more you expand your heart to include one and all, you are in a state of bliss. So therefore, hey Agni, you become a role model to me, because what is the nature of Agni? It goes on spreading. It can spread. Agni, as we know very well, spreads everywhere, all the four directions. So come, why am I asking for bliss or come? It is because the nature of joy is Vishalam. The nature of Anandam is Vishalam. Joy is actually spreading all the directions. Whereas what about violence? Himsa is one which contains, which you exercise violence to contain somebody. And when you are having violence in your heart, you are limiting yourself. Isn't it? And therefore now he says, just like Ananda, which I am asking, come, is all the time expanding, and Dukkha is constructive, sorrow is constructive, joy is expanding, and therefore enhancing joy, Pratnoshi. You are the one who makes it happen. Why? Because your nature of your form is to expand. Your quality is expand. And you will do that when I worship you without violence. Adhvareshu idya, because when you are actually cooking and you light your stove, you make sure it is contained. What do you contain? You contain himsa, which is a potential of the fire is to cause harm. But when you control that, then what happens? It becomes expansive in giving you the benefit of joy. And so Adhvareshu idyaha agnihi kam pratanoshi. Hey Agni, Adhvareshu, in the non-violent acts of worship, idyaha, you who are worshipful, come of the joy, pratanoshi, you are actually going to enhance it, enlarge it, expand it. And then, so this Agni is sporadic, unpredictable. He does it sometime and he doesn't do it sometime. That question now he takes up and says, your grace is consistent and always available. And therefore you are Pipravasva. Pipravasva means you make us to have that. And then make us have that. And how am I confident that you will do it? Because you have done it for our ancients. Because what is the ideal of the sages, of the rishis? Whomsoever you see, the rishis are the very picture of peace. See the beautiful story of one of the great sages, Vasishtha. This Vasishtha had a cow. It was an all-giving cow called Kamadhenu. And the king of the nation called Kaushika, and then he sees that this cow could feed his 10,000 strong army for just asking. And therefore he exercises eminent domain. And then he says, I'm going to take this cow because my country, whenever it is in a drought condition, whenever there is a famine, I'm going to use her resources. But Vasishtha says, no, this belongs to this university. I am a Kulapati. 10,000 students come here. They have no other means of earning. I have got to take care of their education, food, shelter. And therefore, for posterity's sake, I am creating citizens here. And therefore, the need for this cow is more here in the university than in your using it as a source of power. Because he can give the money to whomsoever he wants, and he can actually not give to anybody. Whereas in my university, it is equanimously, equitably spread to every one of my students. So war happens. In that war, Vishwamitra releases the most terrible weapon called Brahmastra, but that Brahmastra is absorbed by Vasishtha in the staff that he was holding, which was full of divine energy. It's called Brahma Danda. And therefore Vishwamitra gets frustrated, and he says, no amount of physical power is equal to spiritual power. We have seen this in a number of occasions in history where spiritual power has reigned over brute power. And so Vishwamitra goes after the revenge against Vasishtha, and then he comes across another king by name Kalmashapada. Kalmashapada is where he would have stepped into slush and his feet would have been dirty, and incidentally he is also a king of the Ikshvaku dynasty, and they team up, and then one day Kalmashapada and Vasishtha's son Shakti, they will cross in a road opposite to each other, and the road was extremely narrow. Only one person could pass, another person had to yield. And Kalmashapada says to Shakti, Vasishtha's son, you give me way. But then before Shakti could even respond to that, Kalmashapada had a whip in his hand and he whips Shakti. So after whipping the Shakti, when he comes to know that he was actually son of Vasishtha, he whips him more. So this comes to the knowledge of Vishwamitra, and Vishwamitra and Kalmashapada team up. Kaushika later on becomes Vishwamitra. Kaushika and Kalmashapada, they team up, and then Kalmashapada murders Vasishtha's son Shakti. So what would be the feeling of the father who has lost his brilliant son Shakti? So he was in great grief, but he was committed to Advara. Very easily he could have cursed Kaushika, and he would have completely destroyed not just him, but everybody around him. He could have done it. But then he becomes so sad, and then he could not bring himself up to curse the perpetrator. So he jumps into a river called Haimavati, and then, but even that water does not drown him. Jumps into fire, doesn't burn him. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakaha. So when he jumps into this river Haimavati, it breaks into 100 different channels, and hence that river was called as Shatadru, which is now in Punjab called Sutlej. Even now you can see that river in northwestern India. So that is the power of Advara. And when one acquires that kind of Advara, a person becomes full of bliss, totally enveloped in bliss. And when he is there, he has no hatred, he has no anger. And hence, you have, hey Agni, you have blessed Sanat. Sanat means the ancients. That's why Hindu Dharma is called as Sanatana. Sana means ancient, Tana means Tanoti, expands. Though it is ancient, it is never obsolete. It constantly expands, includes, makes them part of it. That's how, in Hinduism, all worldviews become part or accepted as its own. And therefore it is called as Sanatana Dharma. This Sana or Sanat word is coming from the Veda. This is one of the examples of that mantra. To the ancients Sanat, and it is not only you are partial to the ancient rishis, but you are so to us also who are recent, Navyaha. So Sanat, Navyaha. And who are these ancients and who are these present people? Those who are worshippers. And therefore the mantra uses the word hota. Hota means whoever offers oblations, whoever worships. At any point of time, anywhere, one who is a worshipper, Agni, and his expansion ability and the ability to give infinite bliss is not denied. Hota. So, when are you and where are you directly perceptible? Your ability is directly perceptible only in Advareshu, only where there is the total presence of non-violence. There your presence in full blissful form. Why do you bless us? It is because it is your own nature. Swam Tanuvam. Swam Tanuvam means it is your own being. Your body is made of non-violence. Your body is made to expand and give the joy. And since you are the one who gives me Rupa, the form, and since my form, this whatever form I have, is because of your constant presence. Take away the Agni. What do we say? The body has no temperature. So with your constant presence, what do? Wherever you turn, wherever you go, whatever you do, you get Subhagam. Su means good, Bhaga means wealth. You grant us good, noble wealth outside and inside. And therefore, you are worthy of our prayer. Please make us like you. And please, we assure you that we always worship you free from violence. Advara.
Although we are using fire, which can cause violence, we are worshipping in a peaceful way.
Yes. The worshipping in a peaceful way is only light in the stove. And then make sure that there is a vessel on top of that and don't walk away. So that's why Instant Pot is better. But even Instapot, somebody else is controlling, isn't it? There's a thermostat and whatnot, and somebody else is controlling. So in summary, Agni is the one who gives us form. Hence we exist because of Agni. Agni's nature is to expand on all sides. You are the repository of bliss, come. And then please expand the joy for us on all sides, just as you expand on all sides. And you have done this benevolent act to the ancients and to the recent. That is, your nature is to be blissful. Your nature is to be blessing. And you are not fickle and you are not inconsistent. You are wherever there is yajna and wherever there is the attitude of worship, yajna buddhi. So that is the meaning of this beautiful mantra. Pragnosi kamidyo advareshu sanatcha hota navyascha satse. Now one more is left, we'll do it next week.
No wonder when you chant this, things happen.
Yeah, they do. That's why difficulties go away.
Yeah.
And then auspiciousness comes. That's why we recommend chanting this whenever people are going through difficulties. And then we do this in the 9 days that have to come, Navaratri, the first 3 days. We use this for worship, we use this for Abhisheka, we use this for Yajna, Arati, which is now
tapasam jalam
tam agnivarnan tapasa jwalantim vairochanim karma phaleshu dushtam Durgan Devigam Sharanamaham Prapadye Sutarasitarase Namaha will be our mantra next week.